How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Blessings, 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 blessings to everybody, to all y'all. Well, I came on today to talk to my depressed self from about 6, 7 years ago. Maybe a little longer because my daughter's about to be 8, so maybe about 10 years ago. I remember a time where I was really messed up, and I felt like I couldn't get out my own way. I felt like I had hit rock bottom, like so far to the bottom that I could never, ever, ever recover again. Like that's how I felt. Like that's how depressed I was. That's how I felt like where my life was. Like my life at that point, it was tough. It was tough. It was really tough. It was hard for me to think of myself of growing or getting out of that. Like I remember I got so depressed that I felt like that I wanted to kill myself because I didn't feel like I could be better. I didn't feel like I could recover from where I was going through. I remember being in my room. I had to move back with my parents. I had to start, live at home. And, that was probably one of the worst things. And I got to a point where my room was on the second floor and I never wanted to come. I didn't even want to come down for the bathroom because I was so ashamed of where I was. Like I was having a hard time finding jobs. My job that was at prior to that had closed. They merged with another company and I decided not to go, all because the job, it was far away. It was about, I think like 40 miles away versus me working like maybe 3 miles down the road. So I went to this depression. I didn't have anybody at the time. I don't believe I had a girlfriend because I couldn't possibly have had because I was so depressed. But I remember like not wanting to come out my room. I remember using water bottles as like my bathroom, like to pee, of course. And it was just a rough time. And I kept telling myself that you ain't ever gonna get better. Like you're not ever gonna get better than what you are. Like we're so far down that how can we? And now look today, like let's just let's just focus on this room. In 10 years, this is how I've recovered. This is my garage. I recovered. Depression, sometimes it feels like it's something that could swallow you whole. Sometimes you feel like there is no way I can get out of this. I remember. I remember how I felt. I remember crying. I remember not wanting to look my mother in the eyes. I remember not wanting to look nobody in the eyes because they could see my weakness. As a matter of fact, my mother said something to me one time, and I think it was kind of life changing. She said, "You look like a crackhead." I never did any drug other than weed in my life. Any drug other than weed. But when she said that to me, it was something that it hurt. It stung me pretty deep because I knew the look of someone we call crackhead. I knew the look. And I remember going in the bathroom that one particular day and looking at myself in the mirror. We had a huge mirror in the bathroom. And I remember looking at myself, man, taking my shirt off and seeing my ribs and realizing that I was prioritizing everything over myself. Like I was putting cigarettes before me. I was putting weed before me. I was making a choice between weed or something to eat. Like that was how bad it was. So I was a weed head, not a crackhead, but a weed head. And it took me to a deep depression. It took me to I thought that smoking more was going to help me to escape my thoughts, but not understanding that the more I smoked, the more that I went deeper into a depression because I wasn't dealing with my issues. I wasn't dealing with the issues. Like, I couldn't get a job because of, I had just came home probably, I think 2000. I had came home in 2000, from a drug charge, and it took me a long time to actually get a job and get some stability in my life. It took me a while. Like I had got a job, but to find stability was very hard. And, jobs kept finding out about my record, so they didn't want to give me a job, which made it even more, it hurt even more. And then I was at this one job. I was so excited about it. And everything was going well. They had bought me some boots. They had just bought everything I needed. I'm here. And I'm telling my parents I'm proud. Like, I'm happy because I know that this job is going to lead me out of there. I'm gonna get out. Like, I don't have to live with my parents no more. I got this job. And like a month later, they called me to the office, and the lady was like, "Doro, you lied on your application." I was like, "No, I didn't lie," but I did, because on my application, what I normally used to put was, I used to put that I was convicted of a crime, but I put no this time, and I put will discuss upon interview, because I didn't want. So sometimes I felt like when you tell them straight up about your charge, that they just automatically, just dismiss you. But I felt like if I could get in front of somebody and I could just talk to them and just tell them my story, I could get the job. But when I went to the interview, they never mentioned it. So I never mentioned it. So I thought that I was, kind of skate free. But then the woman calling back to the office told me that, hey, we can't keep you here because you lied on your application. I remember walking home that day. That was in Hackensack. I walked home. I cried. I was I was I was at the bottom that day. That was probably one of my worst days of my life, because I had thought I just discovered my career. I had thought I just found my way to get out of my parents' house. I thought I just found a way to live a better life. That wasn't what God wanted. That wasn't. As I say, everything is in God's timing. Like, it just wasn't the time. So in that moment, I just went into a deep depression. Like I said, I didn't want to be around nobody. I didn't want to be around my friends. And I felt like my life was over. I felt like that I should probably take myself out, because I had children at the time. And I felt like, how can I be a good father to them if I can't do anything for myself? Stop. Roy Tate. And so I got depressed. I got depressed. But now I'm in a better place. Sorry, I had to take a little pause. My dog started going crazy on me there. But anyway, you can be better. There is a lot of work ahead, but you can be better. In life, we all gonna go through some stuff. We all gonna go through some trials and tribulations. We gonna go through some things that's gonna be rough for us. So we gonna get behind some walls that we can't think we can climb, but you can climb any wall. You can do anything there is you want to do. Like, we can go down and go up, go down and go up, go down and go up. That's just the way life happens. I started to learn that the more you go through, the better off you are. The more you experience, the better off you are. The more rough times you go through, the better off you will be. Don't ever think that you don't ever count yourself out. Don't ever count yourself out. Don't you ever think about killing yourself. Don't you ever think about taking you away from you, or you away from your family. You're not the dictator of your life. God is. And what you got to understand is, this in this life, there's always an opportunity to be better. You just got to want it. You got to stop blaming other people for what you're going through. You got to stop blaming your mom. You got to stop blaming your friends. You got to stop blaming the girlfriends that you was with. You can't blame anybody but you. Take responsibility for where you are. Once you take responsibility for where you are, your life will change. Because that's what I did. I decided to myself that I have to be better. I can no longer blame other people for where I am. I can only blame myself. And once I started to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself that you are better than what you are, I became better than what I was. Life is not about blaming other people. Your mistakes are not other people's faults. You're not having money is your fault. You're not having a job, it's your fault. Once you take responsibility, guess what? Things will change for you. Your life will be better. You'll be much happier. Take responsibility for where you are. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you got to be better. Don't blame the person that's with you. Don't blame the person that lives in another room. Don't blame the person that's at your job. Don't blame nobody. Take responsibility for you. Even if you feel like it's somebody else's fault, take responsibility. And once you take responsibility and you say, you know what, I'm the one, things will get better. My life got better when I started to blame me. My life got better when I started to take responsibility for who I am and what I needed to do. When I stopped blaming my mom for not giving me something. When I stopped blaming my friends for not being there when I needed them. Nobody needs to be there for you but you. God got you. I'm telling you, he does. He had me. You think this faith right here comes from just running the mill, all, Nah, I was at the bottom. I was at the bottom. I'm not saying I'm at the top now. I'm far from where I want to be, but I'm a work in progress, and I will always be. But I will not stop working, and I will always take responsibility for what goes wrong in my life. Always. So you have to take responsibility for what's going on wrong in your life. That's why I always talk about loving you, because at that point I didn't love myself. I didn't love myself enough to tell myself that it's your fault. And once I sat in that room that day, it was just one day, I just had an epiphany. I'll never forget. I went and asked my mother for $2. I needed some Lucy's. I wanted some Lucy's. $2. $2. My mother said, if you don't get out my face asking me for $2, it broke me. It broke me down so much because you know what? I felt like she should have gave me $2. It was just $2. My mother said, I would have rather you came here and asked me for 20 rather than 2. At that moment, I didn't get it. I was mad. I was angry. I'm like, why she can't give me $2? But I understand now. Today, I understand the message. Now I can call my mother and probably get whatever I want. You know why? Because I'm doing well for myself. She didn't want to support somebody who wasn't doing nothing. Because if she kept giving me $2 and $2 and $2 and $2, guess what? Eventually, I would have stayed the same. I wouldn't have changed. Because guess what? I was getting just enough to get by. But life is not about getting by. It's about becoming better. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. It's about believing in yourself. Knowing that any hole you get in, you can get out by yourself. Figure a way out. Leave whatever vices you have alone. If you want to be better, leave some of those things alone and you'll figure it out. The messages will come to you. Like if you're in a deep hole, let's say if you're in a hole, hole and you can't climb, I guarantee you, without all your vices, you will find a way out of that hole. I promise you. Just pray and be thankful for where you are and take responsibility for you and where you are. It's nobody's fault that you where you are. It's your fault. So I just wanted to tell everybody today, and I wanted to tell my old self, thank you for taking responsibility. Thank you for blaming you for what happened to you. Because if you didn't, we wouldn't be here working on getting better, working on being better. But I wanted to tell y'all, I love you and continue progress. Trust the process. Trust you. Peace.